Aren't you glad it's Friday? It's time for your midday fix of facts and spicy sides.
From breaking headlines to backroom whispers.
All served hot and fresh. Happy Friday. I'm Monique Tuzon-Basi.
I'm Ferdi Salvador. Glad to have you with us.
I'm Mai Rodriguez, and this is the Daily Dish. Join us in the next hour and a half where the news meets the stories that matter to you. And there's a lot of stories that we should be talking about today.
There's a lot going on around the world. You've got obviously Iran, your top in your headlines, which we'll not discuss because that's lengthy. Moving to
We're going to talk about lighter news.
yes, we're going to talk about happy stuff,
And
right?
your favorite topic, luxury fashion.
His favorite
But for
luxury,
dogs.
but my favorite animals, dogs. So the best of both
merging
worlds.
the two together.
Yeah, so you know, in the morning, as you all know, I wake up and then I scroll through my socials, see what stories are fun and what's chat worthy, and of course, this reminded me of Monique.
This is so cute.
I was like,
with the doggies.
Monique would totally do that. So now, luxury fashion trends for dogs are jewelry.
I love it.
So people in New York are now lapping up, mind the pun, lapping up like dog collars made out of diamonds.
Yeah.
And not only diamonds, man, you're talking about D-color.
But you know who started that? Heart Evangelista.
Yeah, with her dog
With a
Panda.
dog collar in her dog.
She adopted
It's
Panda
actually a
from, I think,
necklace,
Paws or
right?
Portion, and she gave it to Panda, and it's so cute.
Real jewelry.
Yes.
It is.
Oh, girl. Heart, if you're watching, my neck is empty.
I even think it was it?
empty.
No, was
It's
it Bulgari? On her
Yes, a
dog
scarf.
mo,
But
right?
but she just made the
necklace
dog
from
wear
Bulgari.
it,
Either it's
Panda.
Bulgari or Hermes. It's one or the
wow.
other. But basta, Panda is
Panda
She is
styling.
Panda is
Spoiled
luxe.
puppy.
Yeah, Panda styling. And you know what? Since Monique just arrived from her little vacay in Japan, I said, what happy news
Yeah.
if we can talk about Japan and dogs. So now in Japan, pets fill voids on falling birth rate. So Japanese couples prefer to have dogs or pets for that matter than children.
Yeah, it's been a trend actually with not just in Japan, but with the younger generations. They're opting to have fur babies than actual babies.
But it doesn't help the declining population, though.
It doesn't.
Right?
But talking about
There's a boom, though, for pets, the population of pets in Japan.
And guess what? In your household, there's a
oh
boom.
yeah, I have
There's
a new
a
rabbit. pet.
I'm claiming the rabbit. No, it's supposed to be my son's rabbit, but guess who takes care of
You.
it?
So it's now your rabbit. What's the name of your rabbit?
She's named Ryan,
she's so
and she's
cute like
white
a
and fluffy.
Who named
This
the
is
bunny?
sad, though. We adopted the bunny. It came from a lab. It's so sad. I don't know the story behind it, but my nephew gave it to us. We adopted it. She's so happy with us
But
now.
that's super random. I mean, I would expect that in the US.
She came to us on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's
So-
the perfect Valentine's
You should have named her
gift.
Valentina, the
I
white
know.
bunny.
Let's see if we can
right?
change. Now I'm obsessed with bunnies, and I've been
She's
reading,
been reading
a
up on
lot
it.
about it. There's
So we
so
will
much
be
to
interviewing
know.
Mai soon. We're gonna
There
have
is
a
so
bunny
much to know.
expert here.
No, I'm gonna be the bunny expert.
From astrology,
Yeah.
she's a bunny expert now. I love it.
They
Because
have.
she just blurted it out a while ago while we were getting ready for the show. She goes, guys, guess
She's
what?
like, I got a rabbit. We're
yeah,
like,
but when you
I
see
was finally prepared to announce.
Yeah, but you know when you say, guys, guess what? We're like, yeah, what? What's the latest? Did anything happen? I have a rabbit. We're like,
Yeah.
okay.
And you know, they
Can you
have
qualify?
quirky personalities. And
Bunnies
they
are
actually,
super
I actually
cute.
Googled, do bunnies love you? Does my rabbit love me? I Googled that. Does my rabbit
Guys,
love me?
Hold me.
Because-
Hold me, Monique.
Mai, we love you. Your bunny
Because I've
loves
been
you.
bonding. I've been seeing these types of
Sharon needs love.
this quirkiness from her. I don't know if that's how she shows her love. I just don't know. So please, in the comments, if you have a bunny, if you have rabbits, please tell me what to do.
Let's talk Miss Arts. Let's get a bunny expert.
Let's get a bunny expert.
next week
Yeah.
for Mai.
Good idea.
And we'll ask if her bunny loves you.
Yes,
That's her
yes.
biggest problem to date. If Mai's rabbit loves her. You know, we'll find out. We'll ask her kids. That's going to be for next
No,
week.
no, Ferdi, you're laughing now, but there's a whole discussion on
we'll
Reddit.
talk about it next week. You know,
Yeah.
and
Your
this is-
feelings are valid, Mai. You are completely valid. It's just so funny coming from you. I'm like,
No, they keep
It's like
you
the
guessing.
most
It's not like dogs.
random.
When you know your dog loves you, they lick you, they like ask for attention, right? But you don't know how bunnies do that.
and I love it. And then in 5 minutes, she's talking about world news.
Yeah, then
and
she's
like
going to be serious.
hard-hitting news.
But
in the
you know, in the
Philippines.
back of her head, she's wondering if
Does my
Ryan
bunny
loves
love
her.
me?
I'm thinking of my bunny. I'm thinking of Ryan.
Well, actually, guys, this is a good, also, just, you know, as an animal advocate. Mai said she rescued Ryan from a lab.
Yeah.
Always check your
Yeah.
makeup. Your makeup always gets tested on bunnies in labs. So always check if they're non-cruelty. Because they're always testing on
That is so
bunnies, on
sad.
beagles.
On guinea pigs.
On guinea pigs. So
right?
always adapt and check where your makeup's coming from. But anyway, in
You,
other
you
news,
would know if your bunny starts putting on, eyeshadow. So we know what lab it came from.
It's so funny. You know what? My mom works for United Airlines, and she's here
Yeah.
visiting for the week, and she was telling me they rolled out this new rule, which I'm happy because we fly often.
Oh,
and
this is such a pet
This
peeve.
is a
Pet peeve
big pet
as
peeve
well.
of mine. Actually, not just flying, in any public spaces.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching videos, please have headphones on because United just rolled out a new rule if they're catching one of their flyers watching a video or just disrupting the passengers, that can kick you out of
They
the flight
can
and
get
can
kicked
ban
out.
Or
Yeah.
banned
Yeah.
for life.
banned for life from that airline.
So
Which
I'm so happy American
Yeah.
US based
United,
airlines
yeah.
are already banning certain things like pajamas on flights.
It's banned now?
Yes, some
Oh,
airlines you're not
wow.
allowed to wear pajamas.
All right.
Yeah.
But wait, they should also kick out passengers who take off their socks and show their feet on
Oh, yeah, that's so-
public places,
I
even in
can't.
airplanes.
Oh, that is so nasty.
Right?
This should be another topic for another day.
Okay.
So we're gonna save this. But anyway, we
Airline
have a jam.
etiquette.
Yeah.
All right,
We have a
so-
jam-packed show.
Our
Yes,
guest.
we have an oncologist today, Dr. Emmeline de los Santos, on a very important topic, breast cancer awareness. And also, I want to know, where are we now in the fight against breast cancer, right? In terms of prevention, are there any new tech for it, and also treatment?
And
right?
health, yeah. All right. And we also have Assemblage artist Khriss Bajade from Cebu, and we want to talk about other artists around the Philippines. So he's going to be our guest, and we actually spoke to him when we were in Cebu.
Very exciting show today and a lot of news. So let's get to the headlines. In today's top stories, the Department of Energy warns against profiteering and hoarding amid the expected oil price shocks. Amid skyrocketing fuel prices, Germans are now flocking to Poland just to gas up. In San Francisco, Britney Spears is arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. And later in the show, we'll speak to oncologist Dr. Emmeline de los Santos on breast cancer awareness and artist Khriss Bajade on bridging traditional and modern art in Cebu. The Department of Energy warns against possible profiteering and hoarding amid the anticipated oil market price shocks. The DOE says it has intensified its monitoring of the downstream oil industry following reports of illegal activities in the sale of petroleum products. Speaking to reporters last night, Energy Secretary Sharon Garin said they've now detected overpricing of fuel, and some retailers have also been refusing to sell their products.
Not only is it illegal, but it's inhumane and anti-Filipino. So we are very strong against this. And we have asked DILG with the PNP and the mayors na we all work together to make sure that this does not happen, and we will police all the gasoline stations because you cannot take advantage of the sufferings of the Filipino people.
The DOE urges the public to promptly report any suspected incidents of hoarding, refusal to sell, price manipulation, or profiteering. Consumer group National Association of Electricity Consumers for Reforms welcomes proposals to cut the excise tax on fuel. NASICOR President Pete Ilagan says it will give consumers immediate relief. He also warns that prolonged oil price increases can drive up costs on food, transport, and logistics.
Now, sa anong punto po, what point does the rise in oil prices today stop being a market fluctuation but become a broader economic threat for the Philippines?
Well, kailangan kumilos agad ng gobyerno. So maganda itong proposal nila to reduce the excise or suspend the excise tax dahil it will provide immediate relief sa consumers. Madadama agad natin ito, although this is on a short-term basis lamang. The long-term option is talagang to strengthen energy security and diversify energy sources para maging less dependent tayo sa imported fuel.
Now, Pete, Middle East tensions, they're driving oil prices up again. Now, are Filipino consumers essentially at the mercy ng global events?
Well, to understand better the impact of these oil price increases, we have to look at our power mix. We have to understand that itong ating oil-based plants account for only 7% ng total generation capacity in the country. Dahil most of our generation plants, or electricity rather, come from coal-based plants and other sources. So maliit na porsyento lamang 7. Ang mahirap dito, kung ang presyong ito ay mananatili, magtagal, talagang apektado ang transport and logistic business at saka ang food prices. Yan ang nakakatakot.
The Defense Department assures the public there is no imminent threat to the country. Let's get the latest on the hearing of the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. Hannah T. is monitoring that live from the Senate. Hannah, what can you tell us?
So far, there's no specific threat being monitored in the Philippines, including in the country's southern region, amid the escalating conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran. This was disclosed during a hearing of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee by Defense Assistant Secretary Jeffrey Hechanova, when lawmakers sought an update on the potential security impact of the ongoing attacks in the Middle East. He said the DND has not received any significant intelligence information indicating local security threats to the Philippines at this time. The Middle East crisis remains highly fluid, making it difficult for government to give a definitive timeline on how long the conflict may last, as it involves action and counteraction between countries, which makes projections uncertain. What the government has prepared, he said, are response protocols and contingency plans, as authorities expect the tensions in the region to continue for some time. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, who raised the issue during the hearing, urged government agencies to develop clear scenarios and preparations, especially if the conflict drags on and affects overseas Filipino workers. The Department of Foreign Affairs said, based on current information they have received, the situation could potentially last up to 8 weeks, depending on developments between the U.S. and Iran. Around 1.1 million Filipinos are currently in Middle East areas that may be affected by the conflict. The GFA said rapid response teams are already on standby, with deployment points positioned in countries such as Egypt and Oman to help evacuate Filipinos through nearby borders if conditions worsen. Authorities are also assisting Filipinos stranded in transit hubs like Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Singapore, where about 700 passengers were affected by canceled flights linked to the regional tensions. When asked about repatriation, the Department of Migrant Workers said authorities prioritize those in areas under direct attack, as well as vulnerable Filipinos, such as pregnant workers or those with medical conditions. Mai?
Hana, kamusta naman yung mga OFW hotline sa Middle East na hindi raw sinasagot? Na-aksyonan na ba ito?
Mai, according to the DFA, nag-commit na sila to improve public communication. Kasama nga dyan yung OFW hotlines na kahapon ay pinunan na rin ni na Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chair Erwin Tulfo as well as his brother, Senator Raffy Tulfo. At so far naman daw, simula kahapon ay sumasagot itong hotlines, and aside from that, the agency said na mula ngayon, they will begin posting advisories in Filipinos as well para mas madali raw itong maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Hanatsi, joining us live from the Senate. The Department of Migrant Workers assures our kababayans in the Middle East that Philippine Foreign Service posts have contingency plans for any eventuality. Speaking to BNC's The Spokes, DWM Undersecretary Cignal Raul also says OFWs are informed of prevailing alerts through social media. He clarifies there is no suspension of OFW deployment to the Middle East countries outside of Israel and Lebanon.
Nag-suspend na ba kayo ng pag-flow ng OFWs to the Middle East right now?
Right now, there is no suspension yet because there's no alert level that would justify.
No, but you mean to say Israel,
Tuloy-tuloy
you're
pa
not
rin?
stopping the entry of Filipino OFWs to Israel to Jordan?
Even before the conflict started, it's already alert level 2. We are not sending workers to Israel, even for caregivers and hotel workers.
But yung neighboring countries like Turkey,
For Lebanon as well, we are
Syria.
not sending because of alert level. Also the same.
When you
as
say you're
Israel.
not sending, dito pa lang, pag exit sila, Israel ang pupunta nila,
Automatic po yun.
In coordination with the Commission on Immigration.
Yes.
The Dean of the Baliwag University College of Law urges the Philippine government to favor the de-escalation of tensions in the Middle East. Attorney Buko de la Cruz tells BNC's Abogado the Philippines should prioritize sovereignty as the reasoning of imminent threat may be used against us.
I think we should only work for our interest and not the interest of the United States. And it is to our best interest to keep our sovereignty and to have no enemies. Friend to everyone and enemy to no one.
Yeah.
Once we start making pronouncements that the attack was justified because of an imminent threat or that the preemptive strike is valid as it poses a threat to a superpower, it might be the same argument used against us later on if an attack is made on Philippine soil because of imminent threat. So I think it would be to our best interest to strengthen institutions, put the guardrails on, and join the United Nations in calling for a de-escalation of the conflict because it works to our best interest to de-escalate this. It will lower prices, it will keep our oil available, and maintain world peace.
In other news, President Bongbong Marcos leads the launch of a job fair this morning. Ivy Reyes is on the phone from Malacanang to tell us more. Ivy, tell us about this job fair. Who participated in it?
Hi, Mai. President Bongbong Marcos joined the launch of the Trabajo at Negosyo initiative of the trade industry and the Go Negosyo organization this morning, which aims to bridge entrepreneurship and job generation. Several companies lined up at the job fair at SM Mall of Asia's Music Hall. And of course, SM has several booths covering or offering employment opportunities, including SMX Convention Center and SM Supermarket. As PBBM opened the fair, he reminded both employers and employees that changing times are a challenge, but never a hindrance to success. Trade Department Secretary Cristina Roque also put a premium on micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, and said that MSMEs make up 64% of the country's labor force. According to Roque, opportunities should be afforded by everyone, which is why they're offering a lot, from market access to international trade shows. And in celebration of Women's Month, DTI also reminded women that through SB Corporation, the government's financial institution, the administration has allotted a 2 billion peso fund to support women-led enterprises. Meanwhile, PBBM is leaving for New York this weekend for a working visit from March 9 to 10. The president will attend the General Assembly of the United Nations for this month, and PBBM will also attend the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. The election for a non-permanent seat in the Security Council, which the Philippines is seeking for, will be in June, so PBBM will meet with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. However, no other world leaders are scheduled to speak with the president in this session. Meanwhile, Senator Erwin Tulfo, as chair of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, will join the Philippine delegation along with the Presidential Advisor on Reconciliation and Unity, Carlito Galvez Jr. And on who will be left to look after the palace while the president's away, that will still be announced this weekend at the president's pre-departure speech. Right now, that is all here from Malacanang. Mai?
Thank you, Ivy Reyes, reporting to us from Malacanang. The National Irrigation Administration says it welcomes any investigation on alleged bidding anomalies in the agency. This comes after an anti-corruption group filed a complaint before the Office of the Ombudsman, accusing some officials of the agency of asking for 2 million pesos for potential bidders. NIA Administrator Eddie Guillen says they will fully cooperate with authorities in the investigation. Apart from Guillen, included in the complaint is the Bids and Awards Committee Chair Robert Sugitan and almost 2 billion pesos worth of contracts. Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo finds it difficult to believe that the claims of the 18 so-called Marines were fabricated. In an interview with On Point, he explains that they have detailed information on the alleged 805 billion peso money delivery scheme to some public officials as kickbacks from infrastructure projects.
What do you think about that press con together with Attorney Baligod now that you have settled in, sir?
No, given the detailed description of things mentioned in that affidavit, parang napakahirap pasinungalingan eh. Kasi kumpleto yung larawan ng mga investigador ng ICC, kumpleto yung luggage, pati pera, pati mga addresses, pati mga pangalan eh. Sabi ko, mahirap gumawa ng ganung istorya kung hindi totoo.
As to the Senate probe on the allegations, Attorney Panelo believes nothing will come out of it.
You think that the Senate should investigate this?
Eh kung, if you will follow the style of the Senate, huwag mo nang imbestigahan. Walang mangyayari dyan. Tinatago nila yung mga dapat na imbitahan. Di ba? They have not invited the former speaker. They have not invited Saldico. Useless.
How can you invite Saldico?
Hindi noon. Nung nandito pa siya, di ba?
Hindi, wala na po siya dito noon. Matagal na po siyang wala. Even when the hearing started, he's been away.
Oo, pero may talks about him being involved.
Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon is inspecting an expanded drainage system in Manila today. Ian Maghanoy is on the phone for the details. Ian, what can you tell us?
Yes, Mai, the Department of Public Works and Highways expressed concern that it may fall short on the installation of a two-sided expanded drainage system along Taft Avenue in Manila City. This comes as Public Works Chief Vince Dizon conducted an inspection of the ongoing construction of an expanded drainage system in the area early Friday. Dizon said the flood control project will be installed and completed only at the facade of Santa Isabel College by the end of April, ahead of the rainy season. He explained the shortcomings stem from the flood control budget cut earlier ordered by PBBM following the flood control scandal. The project was pegged at 50 million pesos, which will be scoured from the 2025 DPWH flood control savings. The expanded drainage system will help ease perennial flooding in the area, with the installation of the 1.5-meter diameter drainage pipes similar to those installed along G. Araneta Avenue in Quezon City and Sumulong Highway in Marikina City. Floodwaters set by bigger pipes will flow down to the nearest river, which will serve as its main outfall against perennial flooding in the area. For now, Dizon appealed to residents and people in Manila City to practice proper waste disposal, which could also help prevent the clogging of drainage systems. Mai?
Thank you, Ian Maghanoy reporting. A fisherfolk group is urging newly appointed Acting Environment Secretary Juan Miguel Cuna to act on reclamation projects that are destroying marine life at Manila Bay. On Bilyonaryo News channels at the forefront, Pamalakayan National Chair Fernando Hicap says thousands of fisherfolk are being affected by ongoing dredging and reclamation activities in the area. He calls on Cuna to address the community's concerns, adding that the DENR chief is responsible for protecting the sustainability of Manila Bay and the welfare of fishing communities.
Kung hindi niya pakikinggan yung aming hinaing, aming panawagan sa Kagyat, dahil siya yung OIC ngayon, ang panawagan namin ay Kagyat ay kansila yung lahat ng mga environmental compliance certificate na in-issue na dito sa Manila Bay. At ipahinto na yung reclamation.
Pero itong panawagan nyo namang to cancel yung ECCs, hindi naman ho ito bago no?
Yes.
O matagal nyo ng panawagan ito. Pero paano nyo ho ikukumpara yung mga dating environment secretaries in relation to that call? Ano ho ba yung naging response ng mga nakaraang environment secretaries whenever you call for the cancellation of ECCs?
Actually, meron din pagkakaiba yan kasi yung massive issuance of ACC ay panahon ni Secretary Simato. 2019.
During Duterte administration?
Duterte administration. Pagdating ni Secretary Loizaga, medyo hindi na masyado nag-issue ng Environmental Compliance Certificate. Nagkaroon siya ng direktiba na
Hicap also says President Bongbong Marcos should have issued a formal order, not just a verbal directive, when he earlier called for a suspension of reclamation projects in Manila Bay. He notes that 2 projects in Pasay City were later given the go signal by PBBM. In observance of Women's Month, several groups are holding a protest denouncing the sexist remarks made by Quezon City Representative Bong Suntay on actress Ann Curtis. Nasa linya si Isaiah Mirafuentes para sa detalye. Isaiah?
Yes, may nagmarcha nga kanina ang ilang women's group bilang pagtuligsa sa di umano'y sexist mark ni Congressman Bong Suntay sa celebrity na si Ann Curtis. Sa Office of the Ombudsman, dumiretso ang grupong World March of Women Pilipinas para magsampa ng reklamo laban kay Quezon City 4th District Representative Bong Suntay. Anila, hindi katanggap-tanggap ang mga naging pahayag ni Suntay sa isang pagdinig sa Kamara. Ayon sa mga lider ng grupo, ang pahayag ni Suntay ay sexual na panlalait at pangmamaliit sa kababaihan na dapat panagutan sa ilalim ng batas. Kabilang sa reklamong inihain nila laban kay Congressman Suntay ay paglabag sa Safe Spaces Act at Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. At sa kanilang programa, May, isinabay na rin nila ang panawagan na agarang panagutin ang lahat ng mga opisyal na sangkot sa katiwalian. May.
Maraming salamat, Isaiah Mirafuentes ng Abante, nag-uulat. In other news, authorities are urging suspects in the hazing death of a maritime student in Cavite to surrender. Andrea Salve is on the phone to tell us more. Andrea, I understand this is involving the Tau Gamma fraternity. Ano ba ang latest dito?
The Department of the Interior and Local Government has identified the 17 alleged neophytes in the fatal hazing of a 19-year-old maritime student in Cavite, demanding their immediate surrender to authorities. Interior Secretary John Vic Rimulya on Friday met with the Tau Gamma Phi fraternity leadership. He said the organization vowed to cooperate fully with the investigation, but emphasized that the work should not stop there. Rimulya told Tau Gamma that accountability from the 21 suspects is important and the culture of violence in their initiation processes must be reformed. The authorities did not give an ultimatum for their surrender, but PNP Chief Jose Melencio Nartatis Jr. hopes that they respond to the cause as soon as possible to shed more light to the matter. Earlier, one suspect identified as a driver surrendered to authorities while 3 remain unnamed. The victim, Kenneth Alcedo, and 2 more unidentified victims were allegedly hazed during a supposed initiation rites in an open field beside a subdivision in Dasmariñas City on Sunday. He was taken to the General Trias City Medical Center by 3 men aboard a Mitsubishi Mirage. They later fled the scene after Alcedo was declared dead. Mai.
Thank you, Andrea Salve reporting. Coming up next, we'll speak with breast surgical oncologist Dr. Emmeline de Los Santos. We'll talk about breast cancer awareness, breaking the stigma, and empowering more women and families to fight this disease. Don't go away. The Daily Dish will be right back.
Hello. Welcome back to the Daily Dish. March is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
And joining us in the studio is breast cancer oncologist Dr. Emmeline de Los Santos.
Hi,
Good afternoon,
Good
Doctora. She's so young.
I know, and she's matching her colors. I love the vibes.
But Monique, she is not only an oncologist, but she's got a specialization. Doctora, that's an amazing specialization. Why did you go into that kind of
I actually have a
specialty?
very personal story behind it because my grandmother actually passed away at a very early age because of breast cancer. And it's something that later on, as we evolve in our study in medicine, that I really found fulfillment in this specialty.
Aw, we were joking in the green room because you're so young. You were at med school at like probably 10 years old to specialize in this kind of thing. But since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we always talk about the early signs, early detections. But what are some of the early signs that people often overlook?
So actually, most of the time, there are actually no signs. Your patients are like asymptomatic, and they really just found out during a screening. So most of the time, there are really no signs. But what you have to watch out for is that if you're really familiar with how your breast feels, when you feel something different, so then it's time to get yourself checked.
Yes.
So sometimes, like some patients really wait for like there's a lump, that there's already some wound, there's some nipple discharge. That's when they will actually be alerted to go check. But actually, it should be a habit, like as a woman, to have yourself checked.
And it's not that I'm glad, but I'm how should I say it? I'm happy that there are advanced technologies now regarding breast cancer. And it's no longer, October is Breast Cancer Awareness.
Oh yes, March is Women's Month.
Yes, it's Women's
we got
Month.
that switch.
But, it doesn't matter. Every month should be an
yeah.
awareness month for breast cancer. And I was saying, breast cancer now is easily treated if if prevention is early enough, right?
Yeah, so that's actually true, Ferdi. So that is correct. That I'm actually thankful to be like a woman in this generation, because if I get breast cancer, I would probably be treated, especially at that early stage. It's very curable. I mean, my grandma did not have that luxury before, because there's not much like technology and not much knowledge and understanding about it. So it's a different time, and we're lucky to be alive at this day and age. It's very, very curable at an early stage.
How early is early for screening?
So actually, you should be familiar with your breast when you start at the age of 20s. You actually do your monthly self-check. So you're familiar with how it feels. And then once you go to 30 years old, you actually add on a clinical breast exam every year with your doctor, just so there's somebody trained medically to check it. And then once you're 40 years old, then you start the imaging as well, which is basically a mammogram. But if you have some family history, then might as well discuss it earlier with your doctor. Maybe you have to do some screening earlier.
Because we had another doctor come on the other day about colon cancer.
Yeah.
And it's the #2 leading cause of death in the Philippines now. I just want to know where breast cancer is in the pecking order, because this will help us, educate our viewers and saying, hey, it's a serious matter.
So actually, among women, it's the #1 breast cancer. It's the most prevalent kind of cancer among women. So 1 out of 13 Filipinos will develop breast cancer in her lifetime.
That's
actually, we're #1. We're the highest in the Southeast Asia.
The Philippines.
Why is that?
Is it because of genetics?
So that thing, we actually investigated on that. Genetics right now, we don't see higher genetic mutation in our population, so we're still learning more about it. We don't know really what's causing it. We don't see any correlation, but we're looking at the risk factors also. Maybe it's our lifestyle here. Like we know that being women, being obese, smoking, alcohol intake, so these all contribute to developing cancer.
Yeah. Would you say the food here as well maybe would play a part in that, and health, like how healthy we are when it comes to working out?
Yes, so probably because we know that having physical activity, 120 minutes every week will really help.
Yes, I mean, that's a great question, Monique, because we love our processed food.
Yes.
Right. I mean, more than anyone, I'm sure in Southeast Asia, we like our things marinated with different things.
Not just processed food, like all the sauces with sodium content.
Yes.
There's a lot of carcinogens that that we are aware of, but we still actively partake in.
Yes. So actually, I almost always tell my patients, when you go to the supermarket, just go directly to the fresh produce, and then don't go around getting all the other things there.
Okay, so always eat whole foods. But from what you've seen, Doc, with the trends with your breast cancer patients, is it mostly still genetics, or is it just mostly random?
So that's actually very interesting, because all people think that cancer is caused by genetics. So partly it's true, but what we know that is associated with breast cancer is actually the BRCA1 and 2 gene, and it's only found in only 5 to 10% of breast cancer patients. So 90 to 95%, we don't have any reason to know if what's really causing their breast cancer. Of course, there are a lot of risk factors, but there's no one reason that really causes it.
That's scary.
It is quite alarming now that we know it's the leading cause in women, discomfort at least.
Yeah, especially here in the Philippines.
Yes. What about hormones? Because we're talking about diets and the food that we eat, that we eat. Of course, for example, there's certain meats and livestock that are injected with antibiotics and hormones just to keep them obviously at a certain weight or disease-free. Do you think these are attributes to that high number?
So actually, research is evolving about those, and there's a lot of research about it. So we're still looking for scientific evidence for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about misconceptions now about breast cancer? Because a lot of people think it's an end-all, be-all. But you've mentioned if detected early, it's curable. But when is it not curable?
So firstly, not all breast lumps are cancer. So that's what we
Yeah,
have
it can
to
be
remember.
fibrocystic.
Okay.
Yes.
Nah,
so,
I know.
so
Okay,
a lot.
Doc Ferdi.
No, because my mom had it.
Yeah.
So a lot is benign. So it's just important to have yourself checked early.
Yeah.
And then, of course, advocate for yourself, have yourself checked. So if we do screening, actually, we will be able to catch breast cancer even at an early stage, meaning like stage 0, before it like invades other parts of the breast. So that's very early stage. It's very curable, like 99% to 100% curable. And then when we go to like early stage 1 and 2, these are very curable as well. Like 9 out of 10 women.
I'm glad that they're
will live.
at stage 0 they can
Right.
detect. I mean, how many times in a year should you be checking yourself?
So a yearly mammogram will actually be enough.
When was your
Yearly
last?
mammogram. I was at my OBGYN, but she did like just a self-check, but not a mammogram. So
Okay.
that's a good reminder.
Yes.
And this is why we have you here, Doc.
So all good.
Oh, good. So far, knock on wood.
Yes.
I don't want to, because we have cancer in our genes, so that's why I have to do basically every 6 months. I have to go to my OB. That's what she recommended.
Yeah, so actually something you can do is actually consult a cancer geneticist if you have a lot of
There's a
cancer.
thing?
in your
I didn't
family.
even know.
Yeah, so you can like discuss these things with them, and they can like suggest if you have to do a multi-gene panel test to know your risk actually, and there's
That's
some
so
recommendations.
Let's move
Yeah.
one step back. Where can we find a cancer
We
geneticist?
do have it here in the Philippines. I am not a cancer geneticist, but there are hospitals that have that service, and there are doctors trained.
Yeah, because
wow.
yeah, Monique, that's so cool because prevention is key.
Always.
I mean, being ill in here in the Philippines is not a cheap
Yes.
thing, and for you to prevent and make sure that you know what's going on in your body will save you a lot of grief and a lot of money.
Health is definitely wealth.
1000%.
So what are they called again, Doc? The
They're
doctors?
cancer geneticists.
Cancer
Yes.
geneticists. So people, for our viewers who are watching now, people who basically have high risk of cancer, they can go anytime
Yes.
and any age.
Yes, they can be counseled, and then they can be advised what things they have to do, like which things they have to do earlier, or what tests there are for them.
I think I think that should be part of any family's plan.
100%.
If you can, if it's within the budget,
Yes.
please check out a cancer geneticist just to see if all the family members are okay, right?
Yes,
because
that's
again,
true.
prevention is key, right?
Yeah, people used to think that having yourself checked, especially for these hereditary syndromes, are very expensive. But now things are getting more affordable here in the country.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I wonder, because obviously we live in an archipelago. I wonder where the highest occurrences of breast cancer would be in the cities, and what cities, or in the province. But before you answer that, doctor,
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned. The Daily Dish will be back. Welcome back. You're still watching The Daily Dish, and still with us is breast cancer surgical oncologist Doctora Emmeline De Los Santos. Now, Doc, we were behind the scenes while we were doing the teaser. Ferdi asked a very interesting question, because right now, breast cancer is always associated with women. And since it's Women's Month, we're talking about this. But actually, men can get breast cancer as well.
Yes, but it's actually very rare. Only 1 in 100 men do get breast cancer, and most
1
of the
in
time,
100 men. That's still a high
big
thing.
number.
So
Yeah.
in 1,000 people, that's 10 people.
Yeah, so this actually usually associated if you have the gene.
You're right.
Yes, the BRCA gene. So that's usually more common. That's why all men with breast cancer would test for those genes.
So how often should guys should guys do self-checkups
No, because
as well?
it's not very common. So there's no recommended. Yeah, but if you have like breast lump under your nipple, you have some nipple discharge. So these are signs for men.
That's it. Because I thought, when you were a kid, sorry, this is going to be a little comedy. You know how you're friends and you hang out, and then you do a twister
Yeah,
thing.
the nipple twist.
You're like, I'm gonna get breast cancer. I thought you can get it from that.
Actually, that's a myth, right? If you sleep the pa or
Or wearing a bra.
or you wear like a bra, because my lola always says your bra, you need to loosen it up, blah 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 blah. Is that true?
Yeah, so that's actually a myth, and most people actually maybe because they're not wearing the bra that they're comfortable with, the size. So those are what is causing pain, and sometimes that's when they actually check and find a lump.
Oh.
Okay, so wait, let's debunk this myth. Should women wear a brassiere when they sleep?
So it's really what you're comfortable with.
So it doesn't cause cancer.
It doesn't cause cancer.
Congratulations,
Okay,
guys.
noted.
Dr. Emmeline has just declared that you
Right.
may wear a brassiere.
I don't know why, but yeah, it's hard.
No,
It's hard to
because some
sleep.
women, but of course, as you age, gravity sort of knocks on your door. And they say that if you wear a brassiere, it keeps it more, it prevents gravity from knocking too soon.
Oh, I learned something new today, but
I can't believe it's
I know I learned it from Ferdi. Anyway, thank you. Well, on a more, this is a serious topic, but on a more serious note, since it's a bit light what we were just chatting with, often when women are diagnosed with breast cancer, they often overlook the emotional support. So let's talk about that. What kind of emotional support do the women need from their family and friends when they find out they have breast cancer?
So actually, usually when women find out that they have breast cancer, most of the time, talagang they feel very down. So I always encourage them to come with their families or their husband, their kids, their sister, brother, or their parents during the consult, because that really helps a lot for the whole family also to understand what she's going through. So this is not a one-man thing. So really, emotional support goes a long way.
I'm glad you asked that question, Monique, because unfortunately my mother was also cancer-stricken and she passed away. And my brother Suki, who was supposed to, he's in publishing, but he wanted to go into medicine, said to us, and this is really what calmed us down. He said, we need to know what we're battling, so we can research, find out what's going on, so that we understand what the process is, and this will remove grief. The focus is on how to treat the cancer. And aside from that, our family, we decided, the best cure also is to make sure that whomever is cancer-stricken, whatever cancer it is, needs to stay happy and positive. I mean, it is really depressing and stuff like that. Like, for example, I'm rambling here. My mom, at her tender age of 60 or 70, was it? I forget now. Had cancer over here in the other lady parts. And I was beside her. I started to cry. And she said to me, why are you crying? I said, because how am I going to have another sibling now? I mean, they removed it. She wanted to slap me, basically. But I said that so that it's comedic, so that, hey, we're in this together with you.
Yeah, that's true. So actually, this is something very real, and that people are starting to acknowledge, not just here, but also internationally. So actually, there are a lot of patient resources, trusted patient resources done by the medical community, also with the survivors, that will actually help families. So it's very nice because there are a lot of survivors also helping the newly diagnosed patients.
Now, what about treatments? What are the treatments that are offered?
So actually, breast cancer now is not as simple as before. So there are a lot of parts of either treatment, and they are all available here in the Philippines. So there's your surgery, your chemotherapy, your radiation therapy, hormonal therapy, targeted therapy, and immunotherapy. So not all patients need all of this. So that's actually something they have to discuss with their doctor, depending of the type of breast cancer they have. So it's really something that they have to do a shared decision making with their doctor and also with their family.
You just mentioned the word parts. What about those ladies that, of course, decided to enhance their bodies with implants? years back, Monique wasn't even born then. They said if you get breast implants of a certain material, you can get cancer. Does that still follow up right now?
So actually, during that time, I think the trend was really doing some silicone injections. So it's something that integrates with your breast tissues.
Injections,
so
not the...
That's why it's very hard to assess breast cancer later on for those kind of women. So FDA started to have no approval, declined approval for it actually. So what we move on towards to are those medical grade silicone implant, which you can see they're really compartmentalized and they really put it behind your breasts. So for those women who wants to do enhancement, you can still do it safely. You just go to your board certified plastic surgeon and then they can do it for you safely.
Okay, interesting. At least we debunked that myth as well. What about vitamins, Doc? Do you recommend any natural remedies, vitamins women should be taking every day to just be healthier and help prevent this?
I think living healthily, eating nutritious food, if you can get all those good vitamins from the food you eat, those will actually help you with any kind of cancer.
Yeah, I like that you asked the natural part because before the break I asked you if there's any statistic wherein breast cancer is more prevalent, let's say in the metro or in the provinces. Do you have any of that?
So right now we don't really have the data on it, but what we can say that these centers in the urban area usually have the cancer centers, so maybe that's why also the patients from the rural areas go there. So that's why we have the statistics more on the urban areas.
Yeah, because right in the province, it's so lovely to live there.
Yeah.
You've got fresh air, you eat natural stuff,
All
no
the
pesticides.
farm to table, basically.
Definitely farm to table, which we're into, right?
Super, we love farm to table.
Yeah.
Now, Doc, for our viewers who are always trying to delay their checkup, who are saying, oh, there's no lumps, it's fine, I don't have that in my genes, what's your message to them?
So early detection really saves lives, and if you have breast cancer, don't worry about it because we're here to help you, and there is always life after breast cancer.
1,000%, or else Dr. M will go to you and make you pagalitan. Okay? Don't forget your test. But it's important.
It is important. So every year, don't forget. All right. Well, thank you so much. That was breast surgical oncologist Dr. Emmeline de Los Santos. Thank you so much, Doc. We learned a lot from you, and I learned a lot from Ferdi too. Well, we've got more stories from around the world, plus the latest in sports and entertainment when the Daily Dish returns. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Daily Dish. China opens the fourth session of its 14th National People's Congress, its biggest political gathering just as the Iran war escalates. The meeting typically runs 1 to 2 weeks to review its 2025 achievements and signal the priorities of the world's second largest economy. Lawmakers will examine China's 5-year plan, focusing on GDP growth, job creation, carbon reduction, and industrial modernization. The event comes amid the recent dismissal of high-level military officials as part of Xi Jinping's long-running anti-corruption campaign. In Europe, skyrocketing fuel prices have driven Germans across the border to Poland to gas up.
Unleaded petrol in Germany has jumped to an average of 189 euros per liter, with diesel climbing even higher, driven by disruptions in oil shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Officials call the price hikes outrageous and are seeking an investigation. The surge reflects how global conflicts quickly translate into higher costs for drivers in Europe. Ukraine offers to help protect Middle East oil infrastructure amid tensions in the region. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv has received requests for anti-drone support and is discussing concrete steps with partners. Zelensky criticizes Hungary for blocking a 90 billion euro EU aid package, while reporting that the damage at a major pipeline will be repaired in 6 weeks. The move highlights Ukraine's strategic role and ongoing challenges in financing defense and maintaining energy flows amid the war with Russia.
South Korea dealt the Philippines a 3-0 setback Thursday, dealing a blow to the Filipinas' campaign in the AFC Women's Asia Cup at Ciba Super Stadium. The Taeguk ladies wasted no time taking control, scoring twice in the opening 15 minutes through Jeon Yu-kyung and Chu to put the Filipinas on the back foot early. South Korea sealed the result in the second half when Moon Un-ju converted a corner in the 56th minute. The Filipinas, bannered by goalkeeper Olivia McDaniel, fought to respond but could not break through the Korean defense. With the loss, the Philippines now turns its focus to a crucial final group match against Iran women's national football team, where a win will be vital to keep their hopes alive in the tournament. Ilocos hosts the PBA Season 50 Arena Plus All-Star Weekend. Zeus Valdez is on the phone for the details. Go ahead, Zeus.
Hi, Monique. PBA legends Willie Miller and Ranidel de Ocampo are set to return to the court as they join the league's young stars during the PBA Season 50 All-Star Weekend in Candon City, Ilocos Sur. The former standout will take part in the Rookie Sophomore Junior Blitz game set today at the Candon City Arena, reuniting some of the league's most familiar names with the next generation of PBA talent. Miller and Arvin Santos will team up with the rookies and sophomores, while De Ocampo will join Mark Pingres as reinforcements for the junior squad. The special matchup is one of the featured side events of the league's mid-season celebration, as the PBA marks its 50th season with festivities across Candon City. From players to coaches, participants express excitement over the return of the All-Star Weekend, which gives the league a chance to connect with fans outside Metro Manila. The PBA also held a press conference at Hotel Van Gogh to formally open the series of events leading up to the North versus South All-Star game set for Sunday at the Candon City Arena. Amongst those present were PBA Commissioner Willie Marshall, Candon Mayor Eric Singson, All-Star team representatives, and several current and former PBA stars. The All-Star Weekend also marks the first time the city known as the tobacco capital of the Philippines is hosting the PBA Mid-Season Showcase. Local fans are expected to turn out in full force with meet and greet activities and community events scheduled throughout the weekend. Mo, later today, the action continues with the obstacle challenge and the three-point shootout, followed by the rookies and sophomores taking on the juniors in the Blitz game. Back to you, Monique.
Thank you, Zeus Valdez, for that report.
And on entertainment, Britney Spears was arrested in California on suspicion of driving under the influence. The California Highway Patrol stopped Spears after reports of erratic driving and high speed in Ventura County. She showed signs of impairment from alcohol and drugs and underwent field sobriety tests before being booked into jail. The 41-year-old singer has ended a 13-year conservatorship in 2021 after years of legal and public scrutiny. Italian luxury group Prada reports an 8% organic revenue growth in 2025 as global demand for high-end fashion remains resilient. The group was driven by its smaller label Miu Miu, which has emerged as one of the fastest growing brands in the global luxury market. However, the acquisition of Versace weighed on overall organic growth. Prada completed the nearly $2 billion Versace deal last December, marking its first major acquisition as it moves to expand the competitive global luxury sector. The company is now focusing on reviving Versace's bold and glamorous style. Up next, a look at Cebu's art scene with Assemblage artist Khriss Bajade. Stay tuned, The Daily Dish will be right back. I'm still here at the beautiful island of Cebu, and I am with visual artist Khriss Bajade as we discuss art and what's the best here in Cebu in terms of visual art. Khriss, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so there's a lot of conversations and exhibits of art in Manila per se. But I just wanted to invite you over the show so that you can also give us a basic insight on the art scene in Cebu.
The art scene in Cebu is a little small pa lang compared to Manila, but I would say that because of its size, it's more intimate rather, but no less serious, of course. In the metro, you have scale there, you have the noise, it's loud, and maybe in a way, both scenes are significant in shaping the art scene or the landscape of arts in the Philippines.
Right. I mean, there's obviously galleries here in Cebu.
There are.
But there are Tony ones, such as Cube Gallery and the like. How do you feel like the Visayan artists are represented in Cebu and in Manila? Do you think it needs to be, as you said, loud enough?
Not necessarily. I still prefer to have it like this, but maybe more well represented.
Okay.
More spaces, definitely, more support. But I would think that the stillness and the strong sense of community is much more elaborate.
Right.
In smaller artistic fields.
Right, because there's a lot of amazing artists coming out of this region. I mean, I'm a big fan of Giovanni Abing. Jewel Young Magostone, your artwork, and a lot more. And I feel like that it should be shared more in Manila rather than keeping you a secret here. I mean, it's unfair. We need you to be in Manila. But do you think that commercially, artists such as yourself should also be shown frequently in Manila?
I believe so. In terms of artistic career and exposure of culture,
right?
Cebuano culture, and vice versa, us or artists here being exposed to culture elsewhere, that would be a good thing. I do believe that there are already happenings when galleries in Manila are already looking into having artists outside of Manila to exhibit in their galleries for whatever personal reason, I do not know. Maybe it offers a different perspective, perhaps. But to answer your question, yes, if there is that platform where more artists outside of Manila are well represented in the center.
Right. And I'm not putting any color between any rivalry or something like that. It's just a matter of fact that Manila is now the largest voice or the loudest voice in the art scene.
That is true.
Tell me about your medium. Tell me about your art. How did you develop this, and when did you start?
Well, it started as a thesis when I was in college, and then eventually it evolved through time in terms of how I see the material, and the process as well, and I think the maturity. So I started investigating the material conditions when I was in college, experimenting on.
That's quite late
exploring.
if you think about it, because some artists, they start when they were young, or like in their single-digit ages. You know?
Yes, I started drawing when I was young, just drawing.
Right.
But then when I shifted to Assemblage, I never went back to drawing.
Okay.
So
Assemblage is a completely different language altogether. Yeah.
I could say that my art is more leaning towards construction. It plays with relationships of forms, spaces, tensions in the material itself.
Yes. What's the allure of assemblage, and what you said, you know, tensions in material? What's the allure there?
Well, nowadays there's that. It's not a fear actually, but more and more digitalized works are being present. There's a collapse, or rather a dissolve in boundaries when it comes to materials, when it comes to context, when it comes to even disciplines. But I believe that the material in itself, whether it's the body, whether it's your experience could be material itself, whether it's the medium itself, it will be more honest in the future. So a focus on the material, a focus on something that you could really touch, that you could see that there are spaces in between, something that you could enjoy when you move around, that has more allure.
You're talking about negative space in between.
Yes, negative spaces, positive spaces, the layers there.
Right.
And then the material itself, because I believe each material, they hold its own history. It instills within it a certain memory. So for instance, a driftwood, it's got its own energy by itself. It went through a lot of things, and it by itself, it has this energy that inexplicably, but we can make sense of it. We can feel that.
Right. Because you're one of the few assemblage artists that I know, and it's far in between. You're not of the usual. Forgive me for saying that, and I hope I don't get in trouble for that. But do you think the Filipino market, or Filipinos per se, are ready for assemblage art?
I never really thought of it that way. Between me and other artists, I never romanticized the idea of the starving artist, or I'll make money by my art solely by that means alone.
Right.
So I tried to work my way around, find other modes of
income.
Exactly, to sustain my creativity.
Okay, so that's a funny way of putting it, because others, like you said, the romanticized idea of a starving artist that made it to iconic status is the classic story.
The classic story.
Yeah. However, you want to produce art, and whether it gives you commercial success or not, it doesn't bother you, because you produce the art and you've got other ways to basically sustain your passion.
Yes.
That's a great way of thinking of it. I love that angle.
Thank you.
And it's not the usual angle. So does that mean to say that it's harder for you to part with your art pieces, because you poured a lot of passion in it?
Yes. My artworks entail a lot of prowess and discipline, because it's the material itself, the handling the material, and it entails a lot of energy, a lot of calculations. So even the effort of doing it is almost synonymous, or you cannot remove it from the meaning of the artwork itself. I'm mostly attached to the things that I create.
Yeah, because if it doesn't fare well in other people's eyes, you're like, that's fine. This is mine, because you don't need to sell it to live. So how do you let go of an art piece to an interested collector or buyer?
Gladly, most of the galleries that I'm connected with, they allow us to meet or talk to their clients. Most galleries, it's just a transactional based, wherein you just give your artworks there, and then end of story.
Yes.
And then they just give you the money whether it's when it gets sold.
Yes.
But then recently, or at least in my case, with the galleries that I'm connected with, we are somehow encouraged to talk to them, and in a way it helps us to be more articulate with how we express and with how we explain what we do.
Is that a way to filter where you allow your pieces to go home with?
Yes, because the art scene in the Philippines is so small, and news travel fast. So
Yes.
there are those gallery owners where we would receive whether it's hearsay or it's a rumor when they try to take advantage of the artists.
Yes.
And when those words reach us, we tend not to, or we evade those galleries or those buyers.
Interesting, but you know, you're also a professor of arts.
Yes, in UP Cebu.
In UP University of Philippines.
Studio Arts,
Cebu,
yes.
Of studio arts, and you also taught in Manila.
I'm currently finishing my master's degree in UP Diliman.
So this philosophy of Khriss being able to sustain himself aside from the art world, is that translated to your students?
That's the good thing now, because there are more practicing artists who are teaching in the academe. So, for instance, we now help build their portfolios.
Yeah.
We teach them how to price their artworks. Whereas during my time at least, we didn't know these things. So we really had to navigate the art world by ourselves.
Yes. That's interesting. You just pointed out a very good point. How does one value art?
You mean the pricing?
How like, for example, if I'm an artist, how do you teach me how to price it? Is it per square meter, per inch, per square inch, or is it total spent on material plus, I don't know, how does it work?
Yeah, there are different criteria for that. Others use the inch system, but before coming up with a price, I think it is best for students or for up-and-coming artists to know what is the price in the market, like starting price in the market, at least somewhere there. You don't have to down price or downplay the work that you do. It is better to look at it in a, I think, marketing perspective or a business perspective.
Or
rather,
as a matter of fact, I am worth X per inch.
It could be that you start coming up with value coming from your the value of your time, the time that you consume creating something, plus the materials, and then from there you could multiply that according to the sizes that you're whether it's per inch or whether it's per meter or per square foot.
Very interesting. You know, I've always wondered about that. But where do you think, digressing a little bit, where do you think the Cebuano or the Visayan art scene is moving toward?
I cannot speak for everyone, but how I experience the art scene in Cebu right now, it's quite progressive, really. There are more and more people, especially the philanthropists, who are looking into investing, who are looking into supporting the art scene itself, because it's the arts that actually help promote the culture of a place, of a space. For the likes of Mike Dino, for instance,
Michael Dino, yeah?
Michael Dino, yes. He's doing this annual event at the Tops, and he invites artists from Manila, artists from Cebu. So it's actually building a community wherein people.
I love that. He's supporting the scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Artists from different places are meeting together, being friends, exchange of cultures. And there's locally there's Alan Tan. He also does this annual event that we call Tubo Art Fest. And of course, there are small platforms, artist-run. We have in Argao. The name of the studio is Studio 201, and it allows for up-and-coming artists who are way more, say, more experimental in their approach. Because some galleries are quite choosy when it comes to bringing in artists.
Yes, and of course, Maris Holopainen.
Yes, and most especially, Maris Holopainen, who has kept the studio, or rather kept her gallery running since 2015. It's gone through a lot of experiences, but it's still running until now, and we're very glad for her. She has helped a lot of artists. Most artists that tend to pursue artistry as a career, they tend to help them and bring them and have their works exhibited abroad, have their works exhibited in Manila.
Where do you see and where do you want to see Cebuano artists or Visayan artists in 5 years?
I would like to see them thriving in wherever they want to plant themselves. Whether they want to be recognized in platforms such as the social media, that's good. Whether they become cultural workers, but I would like to see more platforms wherein the up-and-coming artists would have, especially for students who just recently graduated, I would like for them to have these spaces wherein, or groups that have partnerships, not just in Manila or everywhere, maybe abroad, who would help launch them in their career as an artist.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Khriss, for joining me in this beautiful resort here in Plantation Bay. And I hope to see your artwork more often where we live, so I don't have to fly down here to check it out.
Yes, we have a show in Metro Gallery this year in San Juan.
Fantastic. I'm sure we're going to support that. All right, that was Khriss Bajade, one of Cebu's leading visual artists. Stay tuned and stay with us here at The Daily Dish.
Welcome back to The Daily Dish. We have so much to talk about next week. We will speak with the CEO of Mod Labs Girls, Tin Santos, together with Monique Tuzon and Vicky Herrera, all about women empowerment.
Sorry, Ferdi said something funny off air. Ferdi got us laughing off air. We couldn't stop laughing.
Because they want me to go with them to go get a colonoscopy together. I'm like, how can we do? It's weird. Anyway, that's why they can't stop laughing.
We do everything here together, okay? We're going to do the mammogram together and colonoscopy together.
Right. Can you read your script or you want me to do it?
We are learning so much, though. Thank you, Ferdi. That's it for us today. It's Friday, March 6th. Join us again on Monday for more Real Talk.
A lot of spilled tea.
And a lot of laughter with zero filter. I'm Monique Tuzon-Basi. Anytime is a good time because it's always more fun with us.
And I'm Ferdi Salvador, always on top with the news and stories. Of course, that matter most. Stay tuned to the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Thank you for making us your lunchtime companion. I'm Mai Rodriguez. That's The Daily Dish. Sir! I'm crying. Bye. Happy Friday.